first thing in the morning. Horses busted the fence. Little shits, I got a little chunk of temporary fence up one section of the property there. And my gelding's figured it out that it's not tough enough for him, and he loves to run around the yard. And we got to go away today for 5 days, so got the fence fixed. Now I feel a little compelled after talking to those guys at the fishing store. Fellas with his kids out back here and ran into that thing. I guess I should call them things, whatever, beings, bush people, whatever. So I'm gonna go out there this morning. Oh, God, I hate the potholes. I'm gonna go out there this morning and take you right to where this went down. It's only like I gotta wind around a bunch of dirt roads like I'm doing right now, gravel roads to get there, but if I flew like a crow, it wouldn't even be a mile from the backyard. So here we go. I'm gonna take you around there, show you where those guys were. Right down that bank on the right is where I sit on the quad. The river's down there. Down in there. You see all this big juicy timber surrounding where I live, right? This is the road I take on the quad when I go up to the falls, which is right down the bank here too. So anyway, now the significance of where I'm going is this whole valley where the Stamp River flows out. There's a Stamp, the Ash River, the Sprout River. If you go straight up that valley, it goes to, you can go to Comox Lake. And if you Google up Comox Lake and how many sightings there are on Comox Lake, it'll blow up the computer. Strathcona Park is just up this trough on the left. I took you guys there a couple months ago. So John Bendenagel discovered on his own for himself that these beings are very real when he saw the footprints, cast them, and he heard the screams there as well, his wife. And just up ahead of me is Sprout Lake on the left. And that's where people have had dozens of sightings. Somebody wrote in or commented or something, I don't know. They were in a houseboat there in the nighttime last summer. They could hear these things screaming back and forth across the lake, mountaintop to mountaintop. So I'm basically surrounded again where I live now. Nothing new, but I'm going to show you guys the valley in a minute. Alright, so this is the road they drove down. And this is as a crow flies, it's real close to the back of my place. And it's real close to where I sit on the quad. And they went down this road, as many people do, and it's basically it's a direct route to get to a good steelhead fishing spot. Hopefully we find a rock, a hilltop here. It's fairly flat and rolly here, so I can't get a good view yet, but hopefully I'm pretty sure there's a good sized rock up here. And we'll climb up on top of it and we'll get some voices heard, and we will intentionally share the same forest. Be neutral and see how it goes. Let me show you guys a very, very popular place for these beings to frequent. I can't say if they travel through or not. I can't say if they are here, even on this damn planet, full time or not. I haven't a clue. There's a hilltop up there. Maybe I can hike up there. Unless there's something better here. Power line coming through. Go for a hike and get a view. And let's see what's up. Maybe go around this one. Maybe go up this one here. Alright, so right now I'm going directly towards where I live as the crow flies. think I'm gonna climb this rock right here. Screw it. I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna go up there somewhere. Alright. Now the river, the river is just right over here, right over the bank. It flows down Council Hill. It flows out that way. And I live, as the crow flies, just over the top of that. And Sprout Lake is just over there. And the highway to Tofino, when you keel it, runs this way. There's a provincial campground about that way, half a mile, where a red-haired strain of these beings have been seen at that campground numerous times. And then we come around, this is a full 180 back this way. And if you go straight up the trough here, I call this a trough. So on this side of these mountains, to the left, that's the trough. Go straight up there, and you'll eventually hit Comox Lake and Strathcona Park up to the left, according to Campbell River. And this whole area all the way back through here is ridiculous with non-stop sightings of these bush people, or whatever you want to call them. And this is where they are. All right. I'm gonna give it a go, because I don't want to go back to the man cave. It's indoors. Maybe we can make the text large or something, I don't know. But it's kind of funny, I was thinking of the amount of people who have wanted me to shut up. It's funny, handful of you might be familiar with the hunting forum I used to post on a long time ago. And somebody started a thread on this topic here in British Columbia amongst all the BC hunters. And there's a couple clowns on there that they wanted me to shut up, and they wanted everybody to shut up so bad. And every single person that was being honest coming forward with something they'd seen or heard, these guys would just dog pile on them with absolute bullshit, insult them, belittle them, and try to tell them that you think, your brain thinks it saw that, but it didn't. And that's how they're coming across. And then, of course, I'm going to go toe-to-toe, because there isn't anybody that's going to make me shut up, and there's not anybody that's going to manage to make anybody else shut up as long as I'm there. Anyway, I was kind of laughing myself on the way here. I was remembering those days for some weird reason. And you bloody well know that those pricks know exactly what I'm doing today on this YouTube channel. And a message to them. Well, how you making out now, MFers? Right? How you making out now? Didn't work out so good for you trying to make the people shut up, did it? And that's a lot of my motive, that's a lot of my fuel to do this. The fact that we're being lied to immensely is enough to keep me doing this. And I've never ever been able to not, how should I say this? I just haven't been able to let the bad guys win. One day, I think I threatened to share a story from my past that'll help you understand a lot more. One day I might, maybe I won't, I don't know, but I have lost a lot to the bad people in the world in the past. And once I realized I could fight back and fight, and I swore I would never lose to the bad people again at all costs. So that's why that's another big reason why I'm here today, you guys. All right. Another thing too is, you know, the bad guys, they pump misinformation into the people nonstop. As long as they keep telling human beings a certain narrative, eventually it becomes true in a way in some people's minds. So as long as we keep pounding the truth out every single day, non-stop, the truth will win. And it is winning. It's incredible what all you have done here, right? I mean, what is there's over 250,000 people subscribe here. I think there was, I don't know, 5,000 people, new people subscribed this month alone or something. And what is there? There's 110 million video views. Over 100 million, over 100 million video views. And they just keep coming. I mean, I can remember being back, what was it? Maybe even when it hit, I don't know, 20,000 subscribers, I thought, okay, well, this is probably all the people on the planet that have any time for this topic, I'm guessing. But it's not so, is it? It's really blown my socks off just how many people know the truth. which also blows my socks off, and that makes me realize just how successful the filthy bastards are at keeping truth away from the good people. It's amazing to me. What an effort they put down. Isn't it crazy? But not anymore. As long as that's another reason why I do this too, is I realize the effort it takes to battle back. Right? You can't stop. You cannot stop. You never quit. Right? There's no quit here. There's no quit on this end. Obviously, there's no quit. Anyway, let's get myself a little fired up thinking about all the filthy pricks in my past and what they have done to try to shut people up and intimidate them and bully them and be louder than them. And it just feels good to know that we are the truth wins. The truth wins every time. It just takes a fight, right? The truth can't win if you quit. The truth can't win if you hide. And the truth can't win if you shut up. So there's my little tiny rant for the day. And yeah, all those people online that made videos trying to discourage this channel. Didn't quite work out, did it? All right, let's see if I can do this. This is titled Cyprus Encounter. Hello, Steve. I was born and raised and still live in London, United Kingdom. My dad is Greek, Cypriot, and came over as a young man in the 1950s to study, where he remained after meeting my mother and settled down to raise my brothers and I. He worked hard all his life until retirement age and now lives in Cyprus with my mother. I'm the oldest and have 2 brothers, which I was responsible for at all times. It was not something I enjoyed but took seriously. My parents were strict. Yes, we were allowed to discipline children back then, LOL. Yeah, look at the benefits the world's reaping now from all those kids that weren't getting disciplined. Oops. It was the summer of '72 and I was 8 years old. My family and I went to visit my dad's relations in Cyprus at the small village where my dad was raised. The property was in the mountainous region of the island. We landed in a tiny airport, which is no more than a shack. It was evening and getting dark. My uncle picked us up in the car. To get to the village, my uncle drove along a very narrow, winding road up the mountain. It was pitch black once we were away from the airport, and there were no street lights. There was just a foot of dirt between the car tire and a drop to our death. There was just a foot of dirt between the car tire and a drop to our death. On the other side of the road, it was densely covered with bushes and trees. You couldn't see through it. I remember my uncle and dad laughing at my exclamations of fear as I gripped the inside handle while looking down at the huge drop outside my window. My knuckles turned white. I was and still am a city girl. I prefer the hum of traffic to the sound of silence. Obviously, this holiday was not going to be humming with traffic, but I looked forward to some beach time and good Cypriot food. I hope that's an O. Yeah, it is. Cypriot. My grandparents' house had a large, dense lemon tree garden with a chicken coop and 1 goat. The house is detached, and the ground level had doors that led to the living room and kitchen. The flight of stairs at the side of the house led to 1 long balcony, which had doors that led to the bedrooms. The house had electricity, but of course, a lot of cooking is done outside. The house had an indoor toilet that was accessible by walking around the outside of the house, which overlooked the garden. The foundation of the house is high and not level to the garden, so one would have to step down into the garden, if you know what I mean. One night before dawn, my brother, who was 5 at the time, woke me and asked me to escort him to the toilet. I was not happy as it was so late, and I told him no, but shortly after changed my mind. So I took his hand, and we crept along the balcony, trying not to wake the whole household. We made our way down the stairs and around the outside of the house, around the corner to the toilet. I turned on the outside light above the door. The light lit up the area outside the toilet and shone softly toward the garden. My brother went in a while and I waited outside. As I looked about the garden, I noticed that it was quiet. During the day, the chickens could be heard, but I had never been around chickens in London, so I had no idea if chickens partied at night or slept. I couldn't see the goat anywhere, which I was glad, as it seemed unpredictable and frightened me a little. Then I happened to glance in the direction of the closest tree and saw a pair of red eyes looking at me. I looked away because my mind couldn't process red eyes. I dismissed it. I continued to look around, generally into the blackness of the garden. Then I heard the shuffling sound. Whoops. Somebody just texted. It's got text service here. Sorry. I continued to look around, generally into the blackness of the garden. Then I heard a shuffling sound like feet on crisp leaves. This got my attention. I thought, it's the bloody goat. Is the bloody goat coming to scare me? I was mentally planning on escape route. I looked in the direction of the sound, and once again I saw the red eyes looking at me. I realized that the sound was coming from there. The eyes were around 6 feet off the ground, which I can't be certain of because I was standing on the raised foundation that I mentioned earlier. I wasn't afraid. I was a child, so I was curious and continued staring and watching this thing shuffle almost rhythmically side to side while it continued to stand there and stare at me. My brother was taking his sweet time in the pan, so I had time. I had no choice to stand and try to figure out what I was looking at. It had a muscular torso that was hairy, but not so much because I could make out skin showing through. It had arms like a man. They were lightly hairy, which puzzled me greatly. The one thing that I could make out was very muscular, very dark, with fur or hair. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the light cast itself only on the parts that were forward facing. I could not see the lower leg. I noticed that it had an animal-like foot, but I can't be sure which animal. It had self-illuminated eyes. The light from the bulb did not illuminate its face at all, so I have no details. And personally, I believe it stood back deliberately so that it was hidden from me. But the eyes were round with no black pupil and very red. They just stared at me the whole time. It had pointed ears that stood straight up, which were not massive. They were in keeping with the build. Ugh, this is getting creepy. I don't like that description. I believe the height was approximately 6 or 7 feet tall. I was a smart little girl, but I could not identify what I was looking at. In my 8-year-old brain, and for the life of me, I flicked through my mental library of all the animals that I knew of, but nothing registered. Well, I kept eye-to-eye contact with it because I was unsure of its motive, and I needed to protect my brother if it was going to run at us. Around 1 minute later, my brother came out, and without taking my eyes off the thing, I reached for my brother's hand and asked him if he could see the red eyes in the garden. He looked ahead in the same direction and whispered, "Yeah." In a very shaky voice, that was my cue. I shouted, "Run." Yanking his hand, we ran around the corner and up the stairs along the balcony out into our room. We were both shaking. He slept on my bed that night. The next day, I told my dad. He is a Greek Cypriot, and he said he didn't know what it could be. And I followed him as he went to tell my grandmother. I thought maybe I could get some answers. And she started to speak to him in Greek. I don't speak Greek, so I could not understand what was said. But when I pressed my dad on the conversation, he told me to forget about it. I knew better than to push him for answers, so I didn't mention it again. I'd been carrying this experience around for 50 or so years with no answers, until a couple years ago when I happened upon Vic Cundiff's show. I was shocked beyond belief that many other people from all over the world had encountered these creatures. Plus, I now have a name for the thing in the garden. Dogman. My brother can hardly recall the encounter. He said he remembers something, but that's all. The next thing I want to share with everyone is coincidence. My ex-husband told me 30 years ago that he had seen the same thing in Cyprus in the exact same year. At the time he was around 16 years old, visiting his family village. One evening, while enjoying some family time in the large garden, he saw a black, upright figure dart across from one side of the garden and disappearing into the trees. He said it was fast and athletic. He shouted to his family members, "Did you see that?" They all looked about them, but obviously no one saw it. He was curious to know where it had gone and feared its motives, as it had nowhere to run without passing him and the family. He got up, slowly made his way deeper into the garden, and he heard a movement. Next, he saw this thing jump straight up and over the garden wall, like it was nothing. Bear in mind, the wall was around 10 feet high, which surrounded the garden. He said he was so shocked and a little freaked out, so he decided not to tell anyone in case they mocked him. He was relieved to hear that he wasn't the only one that had seen one of these things. By the way, it was coincidental that we were both in Cyprus visiting family at the same time. My father's village was up in the north, and it was and still is lush and green. Mountain sheep / goats were plentiful then. Not sure about now. The ex's family village within the south. I'm not certain if it's of its vegetation or food sources. So, that's my 2 sightings in Cyprus, same year / summer 1972. Thank you, Steve, for giving people a safe platform and a voice to air and share them. Susie. Well, thank you, Susie. That was a hell of a share. Appreciate the time of your life you just donated to everybody here. As I'm looking around over my shoulder, because this is like somewhat new to me. Sure, it's quiet here right now, actually, isn't it? Let's have a listen. There's birds. There's a raven, there's small birds and frogs. But anyway, the Dogman thing, I have zero interest in having experienced one of those things at all. I'm going with my gut. I tell everybody, go with your gut, right? My gut says bad juju. When it comes to that description of a being, my gut, I have an internal semi-alarm goes off. And it's not a good one. So that's why I say, I see one of those things, the barrel is going to be pointed right at its frickin' melon. And if it even shows me one canine tooth intentionally, I'm putting a hole in it. And that's all there is to it. Especially at the speed, right? It's like, you know, I've had numerous bad grizzly bear encounters. Got a bad cougar encounter. I've had some bad wounded bear encounters that are really, really hair-raising, but I know in the past when I've had standoffs with grizzly bears in the bush, whether it be solo or with someone, I am nonstop studying their look, their sound, what they're about to do, because if they are going to decide to go all in to try to kill me, I want to be able to shoot smooth and clean the very first time, because when you have a rifle, which normally punches a clean hole through things, you got to be very, very accurate to stop an 800-pound predator full of adrenaline coming to kill you. You got to be very, very accurate and very lucky to make a shot with a rifle that stops it in its tracks. So that being said, the speed that I've witnessed of just grizzly bears is absolutely unbelievable. Many of you probably will never see it in your lifetime, but believe me, I've rode up on grizzly bears along a creek in thick brush, and the one time that stands out for the speed, and this will relate to what I'm trying to explain too with these dogman beings. I'm riding up the creek, wind's in the face, the wind's still coming downhill, and it's fairly little blustery, and the noise of the creek is loud, and it's greened up leaves, willow, and all of a sudden going up the trail alongside the creek, which is, if you want a face-to-face encounter with anything, just travel along a creek in thick willow. You'll get close to whatever's in there. And I'm riding up, and I typically had my rifle scabbard, I have it right here, going and hanging out. You know, some people have it behind them, under the leg. I got mine right here, so my stock's always right here. So I shoot left, so I just pull it out, and I had my 12-gauge sawed-off shotgun that day. So I just pull it out, and boom, and you think you're John Wayne. You think you're faster than anything, and there's nothing's going to do anything to you ever. You'll get that gun out in a tenth of a second, right? Riding up the trail, and there was a grizzly bear eating that. It was August. It was mountain sheep season. It was early, and that grizzly was in a little green patch of grass. Probably about... That grass patch was probably about 10 yards long and about 5 yards wide, and he was right in it. And I rode up to probably about 8 paces from that grizzly bear, and I scared the shit out of him and me. And he roared and went boom, 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 and then spun around and went boom, boom twice at me. And in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaps, I had just got my hand onto the stock of my shotgun and it was still buried deep into the scabbard. All right, so picture that greased lightning. Greased frickin' brown lightning. So what I'm saying is, to tell that story is to give you guys an example of just how fortunate you are if you can have your barrel pointed at a predator that wants to kill you in the first place. Now, picture having to be deadly smooth, cool hand Luke accurate to dump that 800-pound predator as it's coming at you 50 miles an hour, whatever it is, without shitting yourself, right? So for all you people that might think I'm jumping the gun, describing my views on one of those descriptives of an 8-9 foot tall, 800-pound thing with dog-like head and pointed ears and glowing red eyes staring me down on the timber. How much of a warning are you going to accept before you pull the trigger on that thing? Right? How fast can that thing move? I don't know. Right? You're going to be shitting yourself. Picture it, you guys. You're going to be absolutely adrenaline overload, vibrating, shaking, absolutely shitting yourself. Just seeing that thing, first off, good luck holding that barrel dead straight. You got to hit that target. It's probably going to be what? Inside, I don't know how wide. People have said 6 to 8 inches between the eyeballs. Okay? Let's just use the eyeballs as your bullseye. Now you are going to have to keep your shit together to accurately put that little bullet in an area that big, possibly. Let's even say that big. Who gives a shit? Say it's at 10 yards, 15 yards. All right? So now you're going to have to hold steady enough to keep the crosshair on that cereal bowl size bullseye. And here it comes. Here it comes. Right? The first step it takes towards you, you're going to go, oh, right? Yeah. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I put you there, right? So with my experience with large predators trying to kill my ass, that descriptive of that thing, I don't know how much of a stare down I would be able to take from that thing before I put a hole in it. Right? Because I don't know shit about them. I know about grizzly bears. I know how they hold their ears. I know the sounds they make. I know a bluff charge. I know when not to shoot them. These things? No. If it doesn't turn around and leave. I mean, the number one rule with all predators is the stare down and the eye lock. Do it to a dog. Do it to a human being that you don't know. Do it. Go to any bar, any night. Go anywhere, and do that to a male human being that you don't know. Try it. See what they do. See the reaction. Right? It's the golden rule number one in all of nature. You got eyes in the front of your head, not the sides, and you're staring something down. You mean business. Period. You either are staring down because A, you want to eat what you're staring at, or you want to kill and fight what you're staring at, or you're angry what you're staring at, but either way, you're not intimidated. If you're staring down, you're not intimidated. Right? I guess I'm potentially arguing with somebody who's not even here about how to react with one of those described beings, and you have firepower. I think I've made my case clear. If it stands there and stares me down for more than probably 2 or 3 seconds, I'm just going to put a hole out the back of its head that you could put a grapefruit in. Because I don't know how fast it's going to move. I don't know why it's staring me down. I don't know if it hates me. I don't know if it wants to kill me. I don't know if I'm about to be one of Dave Plattis' next stories. Anyway. Thanks for putting us there, sort of, with your story in Cyprus. I think it's the first time we've heard from somebody a sighting from Cyprus. But anyway, as I look around, it's funny. Why do I keep going to these places alone? I don't know. Because I can, because I was born here too. And I'm not intruding, I'm not trespassing. I was born on the face of this planet just like the rest of you, and I have every right in the world to sit right here anywhere I want. Right? All right, here we go. Let's see if I can manage this one without the readers. Looks like a long one. And then I'm going to go back to the cave, hoping nothing gets tossed at me. Info that might help others or confuse them. A huge puzzle piece? Question mark. All right, hi, Steve. Let me start off by saying I appreciate all you do for this subject. You're a stand-up guy. I know if you ever find yourself in South Carolina, I'll buy you a beer. But hurry up, we're moving soon. Well, when it comes to the topic of Sasquatch, I was always a bit of a skeptic. Regardless, I found the subject fascinating. I'm pragmatic by nature, wanting to believe these things exist, but never fully believed in my heart. But after listening to your channel for several years, along with several other Sabe-related podcasts, listening to people share their stories, it took me too long to come to the realization it was no longer a matter of belief. These beings exist. And the further I delved into the topic, the more it scares the shit out of me. No doubt. Try being face to face with one in the dark by yourself. All right. I'm not a hunter or some grand outdoorsman. What I am is a graphic designer with too much time on my hands. I used to think these things were 100% physical creatures, a prehistoric hominid whose entire survival is predicated on avoiding humans entirely. And as the world grows smaller and we venture further into the deep woods, encounters were bound to happen. Damn plane. I always attributed any supernatural occurrences to just the sheer fear/adrenaline flowing through the system of anyone unfortunate enough to cross paths with a 9-foot hairy man-ape, built like the Incredible Hulk. But the more I look into these beings, the less I fully understand. I occasionally scrub through footage, frame by frame. I take multiple screen grabs, lightening the images, adjusting levels, and looking for movement. And the sheer amount of weird shit I've seen makes me nervous. Steve, please believe me when I say there are faces in the shadows. Creepy faces that change but mostly either look shocked or are snarling at the camera. Different sizes and distance from the camera. Sizes and places that should not be possible given the camera's location and the foliage available. At first I thought this was pareidolia, seeing familiar objects or patterns in otherwise random or unrelated objects or patterns. I convinced myself it was pareidolia. Pareidolia? It had to be, right? What else could it be? Or so I thought, until it happened for the 100th time. On this particular image, the disembodied face was plain as day, semi-transparent and staring straight into the camera, and the expression changed as I went through the frames. At this point, I had to consider the possibility that this wasn't just leaves and brambles or shadows and tricks of light. I had to consider this was something else. I'd love to share what I found, actually show people the images and let them decide for themselves. But honestly, I didn't even want that shit on my computer. I never saved the files. Each time I'd literally study the images, comparing frames, and eventually get so creeped out by what I saw and wanting nothing to do with it. I closed my computer and swore I'd leave this topic alone and never return, or at least until the sun was shining again. If you have Photoshop, anyone can see this phenomenon for themselves. Just go through any posted Bigfoot footage and lighten the image, if you even need to. Look closely and keep an open mind, and soon you will see what I have seen. It's effing creepy, man. I never even considered the possibility that Sasquatch people were anything other than flesh and blood, but the more I look, the more I'm just not sure. I hope I'm wrong. I sincerely hope that I'm just seeing things, but I invite all people to take a look for themselves. The video you had posted from a boat a few episodes back titled, "When You See a Big Dark Eyeball Staring Back Through Your Rifle Scope," is a good place to start. Stephen, thank you for your time and what you mean to this community. You work your ass off and ask for nothing in return other than proper punctuation, LOL. Stay strong, brother, and keep doing what you're doing. Lies are easy, the truth is hard. Take care out there and be safe as always. Your friend, Greg, refuse. Yes, if you'd like me to send you examples of these images, just ask. I might not like keeping these images on my computer, but if it helps others to understand, I'm willing to go back to the footage with the intent to save and send them over. Cheers. Okay, man, well, I guess it's a somewhat roundabout welcome to the Club of No Return. Damn planes. There's a small airstrip right over here. Am I interested? Nope, not me. I probably get, I don't know how many, I've had hundreds of people sending me screenshots from the videos I share with you guys with all the red circles that are behind me all around me. And just so everybody knows, you already know, I know these things are around. I know they are. I've seen them, I've heard them. You guys have seen them throwing shit at me. Potentially, I think I've recorded sounds unintentionally. I've been doing this, I don't know how many times. I've heard them yell, I've seen the footprints. Family members have seen them. I am good, man. I am freaking good. I know they're here. Do I think they're around me while I'm doing this? I know they have been around me numerous times when I'm doing this. I know they're around me when I'm hunting. There's nothing I can do about it, but I guess I kind of got to keep myself in check, and I keep doing this to make sure that I don't stop, because this is what I love to do, right? As far as other people go on here, there's going to be tons of people that want to see those photos. So I can't be the one to stop the people from seeing the photographs, okay? So that being said, if you want to send them, go ahead and send them. But as far as I go, do I have interest myself in seeing these beings behind me and all around me? No, I'm good. I'm good. I know they're around, especially around here. But it's funny, like when I go steelhead fishing over here, I look down at the ground when I'm hiking on the trails in the dark. Whenever it is I'm going, I just look at the ground, mind my own business. I intentionally try not to think of them. I don't want to invite any kind of experience that I needed. I'm good. I just want to go fishing, man, you know? And I just want to come out here and sit in the woods and share people's emails with you guys. That's all I'm doing. I'm not banging on the tree. I'm not insulting them in any way, and I'm not trying to expose them or do something they don't want me to do, you know? And they're not doing the same to me so far yet. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Especially if, like you said, if you never accepted these facts previously, and now all of a sudden your brain kicked in, and you're like, holy shit, this is real. Damn it, this is real. Son of a bitch. Why? You know what I mean? Yeah, just it adds a different flavor to life, doesn't it? Instead of just bouncing around like a frickin' brain-dead peanut, being raised by an iPad, staring at a screen and listening to people like Justin Trudeau and Biden and Camilla the brain-dead Harris. Holy shit! It's frustrating. All right. Let's see if I get one more out. What? All right, how long is this? Not too long. Here's a different kind of title. Listen to this. Bigfoot digs up dead. Steve, like everyone, thank you. I can't let you use my name because of all the ridiculous bullshit I get when I tell the truth. My name is blank blank. It was, okay, you know what? Quit being scared, all right? Quit being scared of people. That's one of the second all of you lose your fear of people is when you begin to become successful in life. And success doesn't mean a dollar sign. All right? When you finally realize that you are free, and being free is just a choice, it's a great place to be. All right? So please stop being scared of human beings, okay? It's a waste of time. It's the biggest enemy we have is ourselves. My name is blank blank. It was 2010, April, Bailey, Colorado. I don't have any readers on you guys, so be patient. Bailey, Colorado. Myself and my family had a nice little house, and we're enjoying the outdoors. As I am sure you know, Bailey, Colorado is a mountain town with Bigfoot sightings. Anyway, about the first part of April, or middle, a doe must have had a stillbirth out in our back lot. In the morning, I let them dogs out, and they made a beeline for the dead doe. I, of course, stopped and called the Department of Wildlife, and they told me to load up the doe and drop it off by the highway. What the F, I said. Anyway, I decided to bury it. I only got about 3 feet down, which I know is not deep enough, but I don't think the depth would have mattered. Okay, that night, I wish I could remember the day, but it was 2:37 a.m., and my bedroom was upstairs facing the east and the back lot, which was fenced about 5 feet high. I remember the time because those red numbers on the clock are burnt into my brain. I heard a grunt and sounded like chatter. I looked out the window and I said, "What the F? 2 bears are digging up the doe?" And then my brain said, "Do bears work together?" And both were big. I jumped up, grabbed my 12 gauge, like that would do anything. Tore down the stairs, getting the back porch. Floodlights on, dogs barking, wife yelling, "What is wrong with you?" Anyway, dug up and gone. Something big. Dug and was fast. And there was sign everywhere. Anyway, thank you. Still confused, and I never heard of Bigfoot digging up the dead. Me neither. Especially being one of these bush beings. They're so skilled and fast. Basically, they want a deer, they're just going to go grab one. 2 bears jumping over the fence to get that. I don't know. You know, I remember one time I was trying to get this huge bear. It had killed the neighbor's goat, which was around, 80 pounds? And they had a 6.5 foot fence. And that big son of a bitch grabbed that goat and made it, and I don't know how, I wasn't there, I didn't watch it, but they basically said it jumped over the fence. And that was one creepy night because there was kids around the neighborhood. The bear was growling at children. It was on the porch growling at my buddy's wife. Now starting to kill pets. And I was living right there, and I sat there in the dark that same night because it dropped the goat and took off. And I sat there in the shadow. You could just see a little bit of light. Enough light to just see, you know. And I sat there. It was so intense waiting. And all of a sudden, a shadow. My buddy was right beside me, side by side. And we're sitting there, and I have my bow. I was going to dust it with the bow, so not to scare the shit out of everybody with a magnum going off. And you're just sitting there. Adrenaline's like 2 in the morning. Pitch black, dead silent. And all of a sudden, a big, dark, black shadow. It's just all of a sudden it's there. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking away, and you're closing your eyes, and you're looking away, and I'm looking back. And all of a sudden, it slowly started moving. And we're only talking about 10 yards in front of us, right there. And he's slowly coming back. And he stopped dead again. He's just standing there, dead still. And then he starts slowly moving. The goat was right over there. And then I said, and I'm going to my butt. All you did, my buddy's thigh was beside me, and I just went like this. And I pushed on his thigh like that, just to let him know. But he was already locked on it, too. I'll never forget how intense that was that night. No, I didn't get him that night, but I did kill him later on. I think 2 days later, I killed him up back. But, yeah, when you just shared that story, that reminded me of that bear and that goat. But, yeah, I don't know. Quick, easy meal, right? Quick, easy meal. All right, I got to get my butt going. My butt in gear and going, I think. And then maybe I will I'll blast off one more from the cave when I get back. And then I have so much stuff. Sarah's loaded so much stuff to put in the truck. And bounce our way out to the boat. One hell of a storm came through here yesterday, and now it's sunny for the first time forever. It's supposed to be sunny a couple days. There you go. Anybody out there who is scared of people, please don't be scared of people. And go ahead and email what you got. Email it in. All right? Email it in to sharemystory@howtohunt.com. We'll get to it. You get it off your chest and get that knowledge shared. It's the right thing to do. You don't have to share your name. Doesn't matter. I respect everybody with that. But at the same time, I don't need you to share your name. But what I do need you to do, everybody, is I need you to stop being scared of people. Obviously not bad people with guns, but you know what I mean. Just quit being scared of people and what they think. Okay? Follow my lead. Look what I'm doing. Can you imagine the amount of guys that are familiar with me through what I have professionally done for years? Imagine how those A-type guys that you'd be typically worried about them hammering on you and belittling you because you claim to have seen a 8-9 foot tall hairy upright being in the forest. Imagine the flack that I've got. Well, guess what? I don't get any flack. Nobody says shit to me. Nobody. I don't get any flack. Nobody tries to humiliate me. It just doesn't happen. And it's actually the opposite. I have people come up to me every time I leave the house, recognize me from doing this, and they got something to share. I've never had anybody once point at me and start laughing and ridiculing me and say, oh, there's the guy that believes in Bigfoot. Never once. Okay, you guys? And I run with some A-type personalities, right? Loggers, fishermen, and hunters. All right. You know what? Maybe once I get home, maybe we'll go down that way and we'll go through that same timber. Well, whatever. Why bother? Well, who knows? Maybe I will. We'll see. Depends what kind of mood I'm in. And another quick side note, you can probably Google it up. There is a campground I just drove by here, provincial campground that way. I think it's Sprout Lake Campground, possibly. And there was a whole bunch of sightings by campers right there, too. Just going to be the campsite, which is right here. Right about that way, about, I don't know, just over a quarter of a mile. All right, the 2 coffees got me going this morning, didn't they? Here we go. Talk to you guys shortly.